So platelet-rich plasma, I would be talking about this therapy in orthopedics. Now, in orthopedics, there's seen a quite surge in the recent decade, and if you just do a Google search, over 300 peer-reviewed documents you would find on PRP in orthopedics use. And what's most exciting is that more than 50% of this literature is what is level 1 and level 2 evidence, so that you can directly rely on it and start implementing it in your practice. The reasons why so much of interest has been shown in PRP as the leading and most researched orthobiological agent is that it's the least controversial, being autogenous in nature, blood being taken from your own body, and the ease of application, and that's very economical also, and yet it is giving very good results. Now, if we look at the mechanism of the platelet-rich plasma, it's not as simple. It looks like the whole work is being done by the platelets, but it's a complex dynamic biological system where it's the platelets along with the other cellular elements, the leukocytes, the fibrin, and sometimes a detrimental effect of the erythrocytes that may act as a contaminant in your platelet-rich plasma. So it's an interplay, it's a buffer system of all these things which actually play the mechanism. But yes, the platelet is right in the core of this mixture, and within 10 minutes of its injection into the body, when it coagulates, it releases the alpha granules which have a lot of growth factors in them. The most important being the platelet-derived growth factor, the transforming growth factor beta, vascular endothelial growth factor, and the epidermal growth factor. And there are many others also. But what they actually do is they modulate the inflammatory process inside the tissue space where you have injected it, stimulates angiogenesis, and then thus they stimulate in formation of new tissue and healing of the tissue. But to do all these things, what is important is that the concentration of platelets that I have written below is the working platelet-rich plasma formula, is that it should be at least 5 times the concentration in the normal plasma. So it should be around, somewhere around 1 million platelets per microliter, and then only these functions happen. So in order to get these functions happening for orthopedic surgery, now what's most important is the processing of the sample to get that correct platelet-rich plasma available to the patient. Now in Tata Main Hospital, we already are doing this platelet-rich plasma therapy for our patients. So what we follow is actually what has been recommended for orthopedics as per the studies done by PGI, which is PGI Chandigarh, which is one of the pioneer in this technology in India at least. So we harvest around 60 cc's of atraumatically. It's very important to atraumatically harvest the 60 cc of blood. The volume is very important. With an anticoagulant, we use the CPDA. Then we do a double spin centrifugation. Now this is very important for orthopedics, because what the double spin does, as you can see in the figures below, it gives us a more purer form of the platelet-rich plasma with less of leukocytes compared to a single spin. Still, it is a leukocyte rich because we are not using a filter to remove the leukocytes from this plasma. And once we have this solution, we generally inject all our patients in the theater. So it's a sterile ultrasound guided injection. And most importantly, you can see the cost there at TMHs comes to around 35-50 per patient. So now if you look at the evidence where it has been used in orthopedics, so as I said, there are so many articles, and the last decade has seen a sudden surge of articles and very high level studies. Level 1 studies we can directly start implementing in your practice is for knee osteoarthritis, elbow tendinopathies like the tennis elbow and the golfer's elbows, gluteal tendinopathies, and plantar fasciitis. These are the 4 conditions which have shown the best results on longer follow-ups and can be started using right away. Certain other conditions very common to orthopedics like the cuff, rotator cuff pathology, the frozen shoulder or adhesive capsulitis, the decurvin stenosynovitis of the thumb, the carpal tunnel syndrome at the wrist, they also have shown moderate to good evidence when you use PRP. But there are certain conditions like the Achilles tendinopathy and the patellar tendinopathy where even though it has been used, it has not been showing consistent results, and the evidence is conflicting. Hence, they may not be recommended for the daily use as of now. Now, the most researched one is the orthopedics. As you can see, in orthopedics is the osteoarthritis. As you can see, there are a number of articles, and most of them are meta-analysis of the randomized controlled trials, which are level 1 evidence. And then what they are showing is that this platelet-rich plasma has been found to be most effective for the knee osteoarthritis, followed by ankle and then by hip. what they have shown is that they not only reduce the pain of the patients, but they also improve their functional outcomes in terms of the WOMAC score and the pain as measured by the VAS scale. And the patients that you should target for this therapy are the osteoarthritis grades 1 to 3. And the effects have been seen to last for at least 12 months, which is quite a big time period. And what is important is that you use a platelet processing mechanism that gives you a high platelet content of the PRP, which is only possible if you harvest atraumatically high volume of blood, at least 50 to 60 cc, to get this processing done. PRP has been shown to be better than the hyaluronic acid or corticosteroid or saline injections given alone in the knee osteoarthritis, and younger patients have been shown to do better than the elder ones. If you make a cocktail of PRP with a hyaluronic acid, that also has been shown to be safer and a better option for in terms of outcome, in terms of pain relief and functional improvement. So next is the elbow tendinopathies. They also have been shown to have the same good results, with the results lasting up till 12 months. But what must be understood that PRP in itself does not generate new tissues. So for conditions like bone fusion, AVN and cartilage regeneration, it should not be used. The future holds where we have started using the scaffolds of the collagen and adding peptides with PRP and mesenchymal stem cells with PRP. And that is the future where we can also regrow tissue with PRP. So just for final practical points, my last slide is, we should not be taking NSAIDs with the PRP, because PRP does produce some pain for a week or so after the injection. Avoid that because it's an antiplatelet drug. Similarly, those on antiplatelet drugs like clopidogrel and aspirin should also avoid using PRP injections. Dosage is critical, as I said, 60 cc blood should be withdrawn, and good glycemic control, lipid control patients have been shown to have good results. Thank you.